I've just been able to put my finger on something, and I got to pull over immediately to talk about this. So you start the year off with a vision, but by August, September, you can go into management mode, survival mode in your business, where all that vision is gone. Like, what happened to the vision? Now you're just moment by moment. It's like the whack-a-mole game. You hit it here, it pops up over here. You hit it here, it pops over here, and you're in like in survival mode. So if you study neuroscience and the brain and the amygdala and cortisol and fight or flight mode and all these type of things, the safer you feel and the more confident, secure, all that type of stuff is the more the amygdala relaxes, and that prefrontal cortex of the brain that's over triggered, that keeps you with cortisol pumping and talking all fast, and the more relaxed you feel is the more that if you study Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you get out of survival mode and you start thinking about a long-term vision, and you get excited about the future. You move from implementation, which is the physical work, then the next is unification, which is management, and the next is communication, and the next highest of all is imagination. Your imagination is more important than intelligence, like Einstein talked about. So here's it. This is the crux. This is the crossing of the Rubicon. Tony Robbins said, I know I'm saying a bunch of cliche stuff, but listen, the quality of your life is directly proportional to the amount of uncertainty that you can comfortably live with. So let's get down to practical, tangible, with things you can sink your teeth into. What happens when you have rain days, pissed off clients, things go wrong on jobs, you underquote jobs, you end up, things happen in your personal life and your family, one after another. If a whole group of those things hit you in even a month or 2 month period, now you could possibly start running around trying to put out, you become a firefighter, right? And when it happens and you go into a reactive state, you get stuck in a reactive state. So when you get so busy and you get out of the imagination down to like answering the phone nonstop and managing everything in your business, doing it, you become such a doer that those other parts of your brain shut down and you just go into survival. What's next? Even in moments when everything is okay now and you have put out the fires and you've managed the things and you're back, you've made your way back on top of the ball again. Maybe you got behind, but you've solved the problem. You took care of those clients. You got through the rain days. You fixed the broken equipment. You fixed the broken truck. You're good now. But your body and your brain isn't. It's still stuck in the havoc. It's still stuck in the helter-skelter. It's still trapped in survival mode. So even when everything's good, you're still running around like you're in survival mode, breathing shallow. And I think that some of the most successful people of all, somehow, in some instances, are able to stay in imagination, stay in that place. And either they built a business where they have other people handling that stuff, putting out fires for them, or they can get in and put out a fire while staying divorced from the chaos. Divorcing yourself from chaos and from drama or trauma, or things that remind you of dramas and traumas, because you could have so much as a thought that puts you into this reactive state, or something that looks similar to something that could end your whole business or make everything fall apart, right? These worst case scenario thinking, fear to the extreme. You ever like have this thing where it's not until like 5 p.m. where you actually take a whole breath? Like at some point during the day you go, and then everything settles. You're like, oh my God, that's the first full breath I've taken today. And I'm understanding and learning that there's a baseline. Is your baseline calmness or anxiety? Where's the baseline? And I'm learning, for instance, for me, it's something that keeps rising. Like if your muscles in your body actually tense, they get more tense unconsciously, and you have to consciously relax them. Relax every muscle in your body. Relax, let your tongue drop in your mouth. Relax your eyes and your eye sockets, your throat, the muscles in your neck. Let your shoulders drop. All your stomach muscles, especially in your abdomen, your groin, your buttocks, your legs. Feel your feet on the ground and relax. It's like a spinning wheel that's being propelled, even though it's still spinning, even though nothing is no longer propelling it. Like Eckhart Tolle said in the book The Power of Now, when you become conscious, there's still this leftover residue. When you become present in the present moment, there's all this residue, like a spinning wheel that has to slowly, gradually slow back down. So if you can set your baseline to be calm and conscious and resourceful, and let the moment inform you what's required to do, which means if there's a fire you need to put out in your business, you get in there, you put that thing out. But then once you're back to it, just like a gazelle, when the lions stop hunting, after a few minutes they can relax and go back to grazing. Well, what humans do is we're still freaking out 1, 2, 5, 10 years, 20 years after the original event. It gets stored up in the memory data bank as some traumatic enneagram in our nervous system. It becomes some the thought and the fear. So when you have high-powered emotions around events, now that doesn't mean that the event is. It could be an imagined event. It could be an event that's not even to somebody else's. Oh, that's not a big deal. Yet you're totally traumatized by it. Or there could be an event that's horrific, and you're totally calm. Like around the world, something happens. So whatever you store up emotionally, it fires all these energetic impulsions through the synapses. And I don't really understand how this works as much as I can explain it, but I can tie it into what's going on in your business right now, and to my business as well, is when these impulsive, what is it, neuroepigenetics? I don't know the word, but it's neurons that fire together wire together. So when you form an emotional path, which could be a reactive state, now every single time you even think of that thought, you can very much easily, that switch gets turned on, just like a circuit board, and now you go into that reactive state faster and more easily. It becomes a water that was a trickle, then a flow, then a flood. Now it becomes a river, and water just flows down it all the time. You have to get back up into the subconscious and unconscious mind and access the superconscious to be able to disengage those paths and do what's called neurosynaptic pruning, and prune that stuff out. And you can do this through hypnotherapy, meditation, prayer, fasting, all that. You can revisit those moments and take like a record, a phonograph record, where the needle can play different songs, like a record player, and go find that memory where you had that emotion, and then go and scratch it so it never plays the same way ever again. And then you can go back and infuse it with love and do all these different things on different levels. This is getting really deep. But what I learned is that you can do this and heal yourself and your life, and then become very calm and conscious and present and resourceful, and you run a better business, make more money, be more present with your family and all that stuff. But also you have to be careful to stay in this place where you don't invite new things in. I believe that the word problem means to throw forth. So we actually spiritually co-create the problems that we have, so we can learn from them. And without problems, you don't learn, and problems are a sign of life. So when you have these problems in your business, they actually make you level up and make you stronger. I think that us being afraid of the problem and avoiding the problem and sticking your head in the sand about the problem and being terrified and being stuck in a fight or flight state, there's got to be a way around that. And I think it's through curiosity and education and learning. Whenever you get afraid of something, if you immediately go to work to learn more about it instead of avoid it, learn all about it. Then, for instance, you can have fears in your business about how does insurance work and how does it work comp, what if this happens or what if that happens. And now you can, instead of being afraid and avoiding it, go in and learn everything you can about it, and then get excited and become a student of that. And that'll eliminate a lot of fears. I think a lot of fears come from the unknown. But in today's world especially, we have so much knowledge and information flowing at our fingertips that we can begin to divert our energy away from entertainment and stuff that doesn't work anymore, or old parts of ourselves that, let's just say, play too much video games, and then divert that attention into something like learning, accounting, business, finance, investing, insurance, economics, neuroscience. All these different things can help us. But you can learn about this stuff, but the true Knowing is doing, so the true practice comes into being a practitioner, which is doing. So a monk can meditate on the side of a mountain and get real good at all this stuff, but then you go throw a monk into a bar fight, and he might totally freak out. And you're like, why are you freaking out? You're a monk. And his anxiety and his heart's pounding, and he's fighting, defending himself. He's, well, because I learned all this stuff on the side of a mountain. You didn't learn it in actual practice. So the dichotomy of being of a spiritual being having a human experience. So you're not a human being having a spiritual experience. It's the other way around. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. So you're half spirit, half body. I don't know what percentage but what I mean is that being in a human body in this dichotomized world, which you have, land, air, water, you have all these different elements, and we vibrate as these spirits, you're going to have physical problems. You haven't evolved past that yet. So physical problems or challenges are the things that are evolving us up and ascending us up through these higher densities. So if you're in this super low density, which would be like third stage consciousness, this is an hour-long talk, you will be stuck in that. But if you can move to 4D and 5D, and you hear this information getting out more and more, that this is all scientifically proven. If you read books like Dr. David R. Hawkins' Power versus Force, books like this, dive into Dr. Joe Dispenza and Eckhart Tolle, all these different studies and thoughts and people from around the world from different times, they're all coming to similar conclusions. And what that is, it's a great teacher. So I think that the best thing that you can do is be here now. And objectify. Here's one of the solutions. Jump outside of yourself and your mind and observe yourself having an emotion. And goes, oh, there goes Joe having that thought again. Here goes Keith doing that thing again where he's worrying, or you're worrying obsessively. What part of the worry is useful? What part of the worry, or what percentage of it is actually useful? And then what other percentage of it is just obsessive compulsive overthinking? Because you got fear, worry, anxiety. Anxiety is fear about an imagined future threat that's not even happening. You can worry about something that's a real thing, or have fear as an imminent threat right now. And if you make a distinction of which one is which, then you can start to objectify it and hold it in your hand and go, oh wow, I'm just over worrying about something that's actually hasn't even happened yet. So when you make these distinctions and you level up your education around all these things, and you understand how the mind and brain and body works at least a little bit better, then you can talk yourself out of the stuff and evolve up and move back into imagination and back into higher forms of consciousness that allow you to love your business, be happy, have a vision again, not get trapped in fight or flight mode and all these things. And it's much easier said than done. This all is a moment by practice, and it doesn't come as easy, I think, if you don't have a healthier diet, you're not getting proper sleep, and you are avoiding addictive patterns. Like some people are addicted to drinking too much or doing drugs or something like that as a way to escape. So things, if you stop doing stuff like that, and you got a problem with some type of addiction, and you go face that thing first, things are going to get worse first before they get better, because they'll be perceived as painful because now you're facing it for the first time. It's like this brick wall in a long time, and it's gotten worse. So I think that once you go through that hard part, you might even go through the dark night of the soul, you can get to this point where you can become so incredibly proactive at all this stuff that you can put out something with your fingertip, like you just extinguish it before it even becomes a fire. And then you can get to the point where that stuff doesn't even happen to you, because you've evolved and ascended beyond it and past it. And something can go wrong that you used to previously consider it being some horrific thing that now is this big emotional thing, and you gotta tell everybody about it, to now it's just like, oh, well, we'll just fix it, it's done. People are like, how are you not freaking out? Because I've been through this before. The machine flipped over. That's what happens when you run a business. Now we got to get it fixed. Good thing I bought a backup. Like, think about that. So you evolve past all that over time, and you become so proactive that, like my friend William, I talk about in a lot of my videos. This dude is insane. He buys parts and stuff for stuff that ain't even broken yet. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? The day comes, that thing breaks, and then he calls me up. Guess what? That thing broke, but I already had the part to fix it because I knew it was going to break one of these days. And I actually consider myself, man, this thing's past due on breaking. According to my math, it should have broke 2 years ago. I got 2 extra years out of it. And because I done fixed it, it's not going to happen for another 10. I'm beating the game right now. I'm the one winning.